Hey there, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're putting on our financial strategist hats. We're going to look way beyond just the basic numbers on a balance sheet to break down the four critical implications of a fiscal deficit, and we're going to do it with absolute precision. So, if you've ever wanted to understand how government debt actually reshapes an entire economy, well, you are absolutely in the right place. Here's our strategic breakdown for today. We'll start by defining the deficit, then navigate the borrowing compass, face the danger of the debt trap, look out for wasteful spending, and finally, measure the very real threat of inflation. Let's get right into it.
Starting with Section 1, defining the deficit, the baseline and balance.
Okay, so as a quick baseline, a fiscal deficit happens when a government's total expenditures completely blow past its total receipts. But here's the critical catch, right? We do not count any new money that's borrowed to fill that gap. It's essentially the raw, unfiltered shortfall between what the state spends and what it actually earns through things like taxes, fees, and other non-borrowed revenues.
Now that we've got that baseline set, let's look at the first major consequence of all this. Section 2, the total borrowing compass, measuring the imbalance. You see, a fiscal deficit acts as the ultimate compass, pointing directly to a government's total borrowing requirements. When spending outpaces income, that massive gap, well, it has to be funded somehow. It pulls from market loans, taps into public small savings schemes, requires debt directly from the central bank, or even reaches outward for external, foreign loans. Basically, the larger the deficit, the heavier the reliance on all these financial lifelines.
And honestly, this heavy reliance on borrowed funds leads us directly to the second, and probably the most dangerous item on our ledger today.
Section 3, the danger of the debt trap, a vicious cycle.
Think about this in your own personal terms for a second. Imagine taking out Loan B just to pay the interest on Loan A. And then, because you still don't have any real income coming in, you have to go and take out Loan C just to cover the interest on Loan B. It's crazy. Eventually, your entire income gets completely swallowed up by debt service, leaving literally nothing left over for food or housing or future growth. Well, when a government does this, borrowing new money strictly to pay off the interest on its older loans, it gets trapped in that exact same vicious cycle. That right there is the textbook definition of a debt trap, and it is a massive threat to the future of any economy. Which brings us right along to our third major warning sign. Section 4, warning, wasteful government spending. So you might think massive borrowing means progress, but huge deficits don't automatically mean a government is out there building brilliant new highways, schools, or hospitals. Actually, very often that deficit is a blaring siren, indicating wasteful expenditure. It shows a stark lack of fiscal discipline, where these borrowed billions aren't funding productive long-term assets at all. Instead, they're just kind of leaking right out of the bucket into highly inefficient, day-to-day government operations.
And finally, we arrive at the fourth, and arguably the most widespread, consequence of these macroeconomic imbalances.
Section 5, the threat of inflation, pulling up prices. Okay, watch how this builds into a really dangerous chain reaction. Step 1, to cover the deficit the government borrows, and this often triggers the central bank to just inject fresh money right into the system. Step 2, with all this extra money circulating, aggregate demand artificially spikes. Suddenly, everyone is out there trying to buy more goods and services. But here's step 3. Because the actual supply of those goods hasn't magically increased overnight, all that surging demand just pulls up price levels. The end result? Widespread inflationary pressure that makes everyday life way more expensive for all of us.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this strategic challenge. Balancing the immediate and, let's be honest, often political need for government spending against the very real dangers of inflation and a crippling debt trap, well, it is the ultimate macroeconomic tightrope. If borrowing fuels today, but mortgages are tomorrow, at what point does the cost of a fiscal deficit permanently compromise our economic future? It's a lot to think about. Keep analyzing that ledger, and thanks so much for joining me today.